Hi everyone, Jane here. Thank you so much for watching today. Welcome if you are new and welcome back if you're a returning viewer. Today I felt like doing something in my Canson art book with the fabulous Saunders Waterford paper, and every now and again I get an urge to do something with like a galaxy theme. Don't know whether it's the colours or I don't know what it is, but I thought I would start off with doing a bit of stamping. Stamping is really one of my first loves. I have a huge collection of stamps from over the years from all different companies, but today I am actually using some that I designed myself for Cleverprints, and I wanted some of these sort of planetary circles in the background, and I thought a bit of white embossing powder would make a really nice resist. I do like a resist effect. So I'm starting off by adding some of the larger and the smaller circle in Versamark, which is a clear embossing ink. Mine is a little less clear than maybe some would be because it's got quite dirty, but it still works. And because I was going over with the white rather than a clear embossing powder, I wasn't too worried. So I'm just getting rid of some of the little bits that were clinging in areas I didn't want. And then I'm going to be heating it with my heat tool. So the main thing is as soon as the powder starts to melt and changes from that matte finish to a glossy finish, you move on so that you don't overheat the powder, because I want that plasticky finish to give the resist to the watercolours that I'm going to use. So I also added some anti-static pad to the background first to try to sort of minimise cling. Now, I wanted to use some nice sort of galaxy colours, but quite bright and flowy ones. So I'm going in with the Qor Watercolours today. So in my big palette, I have a mixture. I have at the top row and part of the second top row are my Qors, and I have some Rosa Galleries, and then all the ones at the bottom are Daniel Smith. And I don't bother putting sort of labels on for what they are, because I sort of know, but also because I do believe in just using what you have and working it all together. So I'm going in with its Quinacridone Magenta, Dioxazine Violet, Cobalt, Teal. And I thought they were nice galaxy colours, and they look quite bright and dark when they go on, but they do actually dry a lot lighter. And I do love the way they flow because of the special sort of aquazole, I think it is, that they have in them that makes the brightness and also makes them flow more. So I'm adding in a few more bits of stamping from the stamp set I used to start with. It's called Lunar Moth. I will list in the description box the things I've used. I don't any longer add links to things because my belief is that you should try to use what you have. I think that's the best way of creating. Is I don't want people going out and buying things just because I've used them, but also because if you're in a different part of the world, some of the things I use might not be available, and there may be alternatives that are more accessible for you. Also, sometimes, especially in this day and age, retailers close, manufacturers change. So I would rather you searched yourself for something similar, or I will put the name so you can see exactly what it is if you want to put a search into the internet. But I think it's more important that you search yourself and find what suits you, because what suits me isn't necessarily what suits you. And a lot of what I do, you can adapt to what you already have, or you could change the style. For example, I am an art journaler. I love creating in my art journal because it's fun for me. It's something I do for me. But if you are somebody who enjoys making cards, for example, I should say just about everything that I or other art journalists do can be converted onto the front of a card. So adapt to what you see, change, instead of being a galaxy background, it could be a floral background. You could use the same techniques. I hope that made some sense. I feel like I rambled a bit there, but never mind. So here I'm just going back in to start with. I did go in with a little bit of ultramarine because I felt like I needed a bit of a darker blue, but I'm going in with some of the same colours, and now I'm just adding in as well a little bit of Quinacridone gold because I do love that colour. So I'm just sort of trying to alternate where I'm putting the colours in the circles. I just felt that I wanted to lift them a little bit and make it more of a colourful, fun sort of background. Now, I also, because it was a galaxy, I did feel that we needed some stars. This particular stencil, I honestly cannot actually remember where it's from. It's just lots of stars. And I picked this one out because the stars were smaller than on some of my other stencils. I've got a few different stencils with stars on, but these, they were a bit smaller. The paint is just a gold acrylic paint. It's one from Hobbycraft in the UK. It's a very generic sort of paint. It's nothing particularly special. And I'm using my little stipply brush. So I started by adding a few areas and I added a little bit more on because I really liked the effect of the stars. Now I wanted to add a focal point, and initially I was going to do something from a stamp, but in the end I decided that I actually had these little characters in the Maremi Small Arts book, which is Little Personas, and although it's a sort of industrial sort of steampunkish type book, there's quite a lot where the little characters look like they're wanting to go off into space, and I thought that really went with it. I picked this one because I thought he would look really cute on this page, as though he was whimsically thinking about going off to space. So because I wanted it to stand out on the page, I stuck the image onto some white cards. So I left a little bit of a border around the image to start with so that I had something to cut around. And then I used a glue stick, which is highly unusual for me. I don't often use glue sticks, but I find when I'm sticking these images to the thin card to make sort of embellishments, it's a good way of making sure I get good coverage across the whole of the image, and also it doesn't squish out as much, whereas my white acrylic glue sometimes squishes out a bit and then gets onto the image, which I don't always like. Of course, I would suggest that you probably use a fairly decent glue stick, if I put it that way. Some, not all glue sticks are created equal. That one was a Sea White of Brighton one, which I actually bought in an art shop. So it's a nice glue stick. Now, once I had done that, I did actually go off camera around the edge with a black pen as well. And then I decided that I did need a little bit more in the background, in particular because the boy was very much in like this deeper jeans colour of blue. I wanted some of that to be echoed in the background. So I'm going in with another one of my stamps. It's from the Maker Mark stamp. That was a sort of an amalgamation of stamp set. And I just wanted to mostly put some of that around where I knew the image was going to be. So that's why I keep pushing it back in so I can see exactly where it's going to go, because I want to make sure that you can actually see some of that that texture coming through. And then just to echo, I've just put a little bit up into that top right corner just to sort of make a little extra sort of an echo. And then because it was a galaxy, and because I always do, I added some splatters, and this time I wanted to go in with the white because I think when you do a galaxy style background, white always looks good. So I've added foam pads to the back of this image, and I wanted to make it more 3D. I also wanted a little bit more underneath, and sometimes I go with a thread. This time I just went with a little bit of the cheesecloth, and I thought it looked a little bit like he could be sitting on a cloud looking up into space. I don't know. It's just what was going on in my head, but also it's just a little bit of grounding for him. And even though I've got the foam pads, I do add a little bit of glue. It gives you a little bit of movement time, but it also makes sure that it is going to stick really firmly. And then this sentiment I had got from one of the Lemon Creation pads that I have, and it just went so well with this whole image, and I just stuck that down with a bit of glue. So thank you ever so much for watching this video today. If you have enjoyed it, do please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already subscribed, that would be fantastic as well. You also do now have sometimes the option to hype a video, which costs you nothing but helps small creators. So if you can hit that hype button, that would be fantastic as well. And a big thank you to everybody for watching, and another extra big thank you to my members whose names you will see at the end of this video. So all the information, as I say, will be in the description box below, and until the next time, bye bye.